Hi, my name's John. I run the small holding at Meadow Barn farm with my wife Liz, and this is the sheep shack. I was away for quite a long time, and I was in hospitality and doing various different things and sorts, restaurants and different parts of the world, and came back, and when we bought the house here with the land, we wanted a way to share the space, share the farm, but also make a living in a way that linked into my and my wife's hospitality background, but also doing something that we felt was right for the land. We wanted to do something soft touch and low impact, and that's how we came about building the cabin. It was then sort of, looking around and trying to work out where would be a nice spot. We're out of the southwesterlies down here, being on the coastal plateau. It can be quite windy, but we're tucked away from that down here. We're next to the little brook, so it's nice to listen to that. And we're in amongst the sheep and the pigs, which is very usual for Liz and I, but still wonderful. But for people who don't spend time around animals, I hope that's a really special experience. We had a number of challenges from the offset, really. And I'm not a carpenter either. I had sort of basic woodwork lessons at school. But I was given confidence by a friend who builds cabins like this, and he explained to me that he could tell me, mostly over the phone with a couple of sessions down here, how to do it. He created a list of tools that I would need, and I also had to rent a digger, which I'd never done, to flatten the land. It's like a lot of things. I was lucky enough at that time to have the time, and I think what most of us know, probably, but sometimes can't discover because we don't have the time, is that if we break things down into individual bits, have some instruction, which is often available now all over the place in lots of different media, and then we focus on the individual bits and spend time on it, then most things are possible. Certainly in building terms, I guess what any builder would say is a relatively simple construction. So for me, it was a real privilege to be able to have the time to do it and to learn to use the different tools and the different cuts and that kind of thing. We really wanted to do something as off-grid as possible for a number of reasons, but partly we felt it was the right thing to do. We felt that it fitted in with our kind of low impact, soft touch kind of ethos. So also simplicity. We didn't want to be unrolling, endless sort of armoured cable across the land and bringing it down here. Of course, when you do supply full power, then people use it. Perhaps sometimes, certainly for people that this kind of thing appeals to, it's good not to have those options. Because it makes things a bit simpler, and that's kind of part of the message that we're trying to put across. If it's just lighting, a USB port, which is all people really need, then it's fine, really. So electricity is solar, as we just mentioned, so there's a panel in the field. Then the water, we had no choice but to put mains water down here. However, we've got it for the pigs and things anyway, so we brought mains water down here. I mean, people are happy to go pretty minimal, but hot water in this country is quite important. So we have a large 47 kilogram gas canisters. And then the building, for heating, to keep people warm, there's a Hobbit stove, which is made in Devon, and we provide some logs, and it's very well insulated because there's wood fibre insulation on the roof, and the walls and floor have sheep's wool insulation. So that keeps it nice and warm, or certainly when it warms up, it stays warm. With regards to water runoff, so the loo is a compost loo, so that's very simple. We use wheelie bins, and the grey water we run off into a reed bed, so it goes through various grades of sand in a filtration system. There's reeds that grow where the grey water runs off into a sort of reservoir, I suppose, and then it goes over a kind of check dam, and it goes into another set of graded gravel and sand, and then it just dissipates. The physical shape, it's quite traditional cabin shape. The people have been building cabins like this for years. They're a good use of space. It's simple, things fit into them. For me, it just sort of evokes a simpler time, I think. And if I was to go and spend time trying to nourish myself or regroup or whatever it is, looking for a simpler getaway, I'd want to be kind of surrounded by the green of the grass outside, that kind of, because the valley goes up the hill out of the windows, you're looking straight at green, you're looking at trees And also the interior, there's lots of wood in the interior, which is also very pleasing and relaxing. In times past, it was great to go to reclamation places, and they are still good, and they're wonderful wonderful places to go and dig around. But obviously with the internet, then you have a wider place to look. But we did try and go as local as possible. So the window above the sink came from near Totnes. The sash windows came locally. Sash windows are fantastic because you open the bottom and it allows cool air in and hot air can go out the top. The thing is with sash windows is there's lots for sale, but you need to make sure you get the boxes with them, because if you don't get the exterior boxes, you've just got a pair of sliding windows with nothing that they slide in, and there's lots of those, so you've got to make sure you get the whole box. Then you get this fully functional thing you can just fit in. All the timber came from a local sawmill. The door, the thing is, it's a beautiful door. It's not antique as such, but it's a wonderful big heavy door with stained glass, and it's not antique. It was very, really inexpensive. There's lots of features in here that came from my family on nearby. For example, some of the floorboards that are under the metal bed back there, they were doors in the house I grew up in, so you can see the keyholes in the floor. So we spent a lot of time stripping back the paint, and the floor also came from a house that I used to live in that was ripped out and disappeared into a handyman's garage for a long time, and so that came out and we put it down in here, and it's teak, so that's really unusual. I mean, the list is quite long, really. Once you start getting into the sort of slightly quirky, eclectic world, there's a lot out there, and they don't have to be expensive. Can't really go too far wrong, I don't think. An old cabin's supposed to be a bit pickledy, and I love that bit. I find it really enjoyable. I think everyone that does stuff like this is a bit of a collector anyway. And I would say surrender to it and just go shopping. If something comes up on your local Facebook marketplace or someone in your family's got something, get hold of it and you can always pass it on. But it's good to have it in hand, I would say. I think it's about simplicity and about how people live their lives now. Most people we get are between, let's say, 25 and 55. I think that they are people who perhaps live in urban environments. They want to get away. It's a very kind of simple place to come to. It's in this country, you don't have to travel far. I think a lot less people who this kind of thing appeals to. I think they're flying less. I think the big word is simplicity. I would liken it, I guess, in my experience, to being on a small boat or in a camper van, maybe, where I have a tiny little small boat, but you can sleep on it, and I go sailing on it sometimes. And when I'm in that, I know where my stove is, I know where my tin of soup is, I know where my sleeping bag is, I know where my penknife is, all the little bits and pieces I might need. And that's lovely because it's all around me and it's not work. All you need is there. You can't go and get anything else because it's not there. All the usual little things that complicate our lives, or a lot of them anyway, are removed for a period of time. And I think that's why people pay to come to somewhere like this, just to get a bit of headspace.